jeez. There's a lot of you out there tonight. I've never been on stage before, so I'm a little nervous. Our transitional inspirational speaker / big poet had to cancel last minute, so I asked the director if I could deliver the Little Women's monologue on my own. Surprisingly, she said yes. So, okay. Here we go. I am the spirit of woman. For thousands of years, I have been subjected to oppression. Oh, oppression! Now, who would be responsible for oppressing what? Does anybody know? I think I know. Him! The patriarchy with this oppression and inequality! I am so angry! But I should be angry. But tonight I shall take this anger out positively. And I, the spirit of woman, shall break free from the chains of patriarchy, and you, the audience, shall witness my incredible transformation.
That's my point. See? Don't you have feelings? Your final argument. What is it that doesn't have feelings? Animals. I don't take your side, you question if I'm human. I have a responsibility to this institution, to the students, to my group, because I speak yes, not for myself, but for the group. For those who suffer what I suffer. On behalf of whom, even if I were inclined to what? Forgive? Forget what? Overlook your behavior? It would be wrong, even if I were inclined to forgive. What would transpire? You mean happen? Then say it, for Christ's sake! Who the hell do you think you are? You want to post, you want unlimited power to do and say what you want. Testing, questioning, flirt. You've done it. Excuse me one moment, will you? The 12th. Have a nice day, dear. The 15th. Now don't you look fetching. April 17th. If you girls would come over here. I saw you, Professor, for 2 semesters. Sit there, stand there, and explain, as you thought, your paternal prerogative. And what is that but rape? I swear to God, you asked me in here to explain something to me as a child that I did not understand, but I came here to explain something to you. You are not God! You asked me why I came? I came here to instruct you.
Town. They felt alive, vibrant and virulent as they stalked the streets. Their mouths were full of smiles, smirks, shushes, their double-pierced ears straining to hear the sirens of authority. Night air hugged them like the jeans they fought to squeeze into. Flaws were expertly hidden behind the miracle foundation and the ruse of flowy tops. Stars glimmered dimly juxtaposed to their shimmering jewelry, which adorned them so tastefully. The harsh burn of smoke and alcohol only tolerable for the surge of excitement and the promise of mistakes. The vibration of conversation in their back pockets told them that they were wanted, desired, yearned for. The acronyms, emojis, pictures they sent meant inclusion, camaraderie, status, which were of the utmost importance. Testosterone and estrogen mingled with the snowflakes like the perfumes and colognes. To be objectified was to be glorified, and tonight they were glorious. Long hair, flowy hair, romantic comedy, pretty in pink, fabulous. Masks of makeup protected them as they snuck into the expectant moonlight.
A mother's legacy is not one of fame or accomplishments to be listed in a historical document. By tending to those she loves, ensuring their ability to survive without her, a mother's legacy is one of giving. In clear glass marbles, a daughter's account of her mother's final wishes exposes the selfless act a mother commits to the very end.
The day my mother found out she was dying, she asked me to go and buy her glass marbles. That night, I hadn't even known she was ill. Apparently, the doctors had given her 3 months, and she always set great store by doctors. She said she always believed them because they were the nearest thing to the Old Testament. So anyway, I bought her the marbles, and she counted 90 of them out and set them in this bowl at her bedside table. And then she went out and spent $1,200 on nightgowns. She said, "In my family, you're only dying when you take to your bed, and that, my darling, is where I'm going." From then on, the doctors came to see her because, as she put it, she didn't come in with a house call, she was going out with a house call. And all day, every day, she would hold one of these marbles in her hand. She said it made the day longer. Mother had her own bedroom. That's how it always was. Dad could really get into a nightmare. And early on in their marriage, he had flipped over and broken her nose. And that was it, separate beds. Her room was very spare, really. No pictures on the walls. She said they were bound to deflate the imagination or something. After dinner, we'd sit with her and talk about issues. She said she was too far gone for gossip. Then we'd alternate. And in a little while, I'd hear this. Happened every night. After the third or fourth day, I saw one on the floor, and I started to pick it up, but she said leave it. I asked how come, and she said she was learning to let go of them. She showed my father how to do the medical insurance and how she handled the accounts, and we went through all of her jewelry. She wrote down all the names of the roofers and the plumbers and the air conditioning people. She called it wrapping it up. "Well, this is good," she'd say. "I'm wrapping it up." Later on, when it started to get hard, she told my dad and me that she'd like to spend more time alone. "I'm afraid," she said, "that I'm going to have to do this more or less by myself." She said that she was glad, and she hoped we would be. That this was arranged so you got less attached to the people you love. Turning my head. Then neither of us seemed to know what happened. And I cried for what would become of me. And cried, for my secret began to show. One day, Miss Green said she understood but would make no trouble for me. And being childless would adopt. So she had on Helen Bell, on child name. Later, I married Gus Bergman, and years passed, but at political rallies. When onlookers thought I was crying at the eloquence of Hamilton Green. No, I wanted to say, that is not it. That's my son. That's my son.
person. Days after the funeral, they found more pieces and they had to dig him up and bury him all over again. I have a box at home where I keep what they sent me of Robbie's belongings. There's a letter in it. I've only read it once, and I don't know if I'll ever find the strength to read it again, but I remember what it said. It's like he had some kind of premonition, like he knew something was going to happen, but if you're reading this, I'll know Daddy, because I'm being sent home wounded or cold in a box. I hope it won't be the second, but if it is, please give some of this stuff to Leanne and then keep some of it for yourselves. And then the very last line, not any punctuation, it doesn't end with a period, it just says, on the way home, or goodbye for now. I was always taught that war was a bad thing, but that there were times when it was necessary, and in those times, it was important for us to pull together and support our leaders and decision makers. That's what I was taught, and that's what your daddy and I taught you, Rob. We tried to be good citizens and raise you to do the same, but rest easy, son. Rest peacefully.
It is I, the spirit of woman, again! Audience, I present a hypothetical situation. Would it then, yes, had to be subjected to the same standards of beauty and consequences for not meeting those standards as women? Well, patriarchy, let's give it a try. Fix your hair! And tweeze your eyebrows because society thinks they're hideous! And wear some mascara! Or better yet, eyeliner because society thinks you look like a tired, squinty-eyed failure! And wear some makeup! And by some, I mean foundation, blush, eyeshadow, more foundation, powder, eyeliner, and oh goodness, I almost forgot the lipstick! Society hates your pale, ugly lips! And moisturize you all wrinkly, dry, and wear some jewelry to show your fun! And wear some skinny jeans that make it impossible for you to breathe! And this cute top! But wait, your girlfriend wanted you to show her skin, so take this one just in case. But wait, hold the phone! Your father said that if you show too much skin, then society would think you're promiscuous. So take this one too! And some nice heels! God forbid you look taller than your girlfriend! So take these flats too, just in case. And your purse! There's pepper spray in it, just in case! Well, patriarchy, I think you look socially acceptable now with your hair, your makeup, your accessories and clothes. People will be too busy objectifying you to even notice the oppression, the inequality.
This Campino written conference is sounding boring. They have the truth of this from hero. They seem to pity you. Perfections have to full that. Why must be requited? I hear how I'm censured. They say I will bear myself proudly if I receive the love of some partner. They say too that she would rather die than show any sign of affection. I did not think to marry. I must not seem proud. Happy are they that hear their detractions and put them to many. They say the lady is fair. 'Tis a truth I can bear them witness. And virtuous 'tis so. I cannot prove it. Wise. But for loving me. Why, it is no addition to her wit nor no great argument of her folly. I will be horribly in love with her. I may have some odd quirks or remnants of wit broken on me because I have railed so long against marriage, but does not the appetite return? A man loves the meat in his youth which cannot endure in his age. Shall these quips and sentences and paper bullets of the brain awe a man from the career of his humor? No! The world must be peopled! When I said I would die bachelor, I did not think I would live till I were married. Here comes Beatrice. By this nation, produced by some marks of love in her.
When I was a little girl, people used to ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? Good, I would say. I want to be good. Becoming good was much harder than becoming a doctor or an astronaut or a lifeguard. There are tests passed to become those things. Becoming good was not like that. It was abstract. It became the only thing that matters to me. If I could be good, everything would be all right. I'd fit in. I'd be popular. I would skip death and go straight to heaven. If you ask me now what this means to be good, I still don't know exactly. Growing up in the 50s, good was simply what girls were supposed to be. They were pretty, perky. They wore girdles and waist cinchers and pumps. They got married. They looked married. They waited to be given permission. They kept their legs closed even during sex. In recent years, good girls joined the army. They climbed the corporate ladder. They go to the gym. They accessorize. They wear pointy, painful shoes. They wear lipstick if they're lesbians. They wear lipstick if they're not. They don't eat too much. They don't eat at all. They stay perfect. They stay thin. I can never be good. This feeling of badness lives in every part of my being. Call it anxiety or despair, call it guilt or shame. The older, seemingly clearer and wiser I get, the more devious and globalized the badness becomes. I think for most of us, there's a particular part of our body where the badness manifests itself. Our thighs, our butt, our breasts, our hair, our nose, our little toe. No matter where I've been in the world, whether it's Tehran, where women are smashing and remodeling their noses to look less Iranian, or in Beijing, where they're breaking their legs and adding bone to be taller, or in Dallas, where they're whittling their feet in order to fit into Manolo Blancs or Jimmy Choo's. Everywhere, the women I meet generally hate one particular part of their body. They spend most of their lives fixing it, shrinking it. They have medicine cabinets with products devoted to transforming it. They have closets full of clothes that cover or enhance it. What I can't believe is that someone like me, a radical feminist, could spend so much time thinking about my stomach. It protrudes through my confidence, my clothes, my ability to work. I tried to sedate it, educate it, embrace it, but most of all, embrace it.
How many times has the empty phrase, that which does not kill us make us stronger, been offered to unfazed universally? Many women house strength and weakness silently and invisibly, but in Marx, a woman revealed that strength she draws from the visible evidence of her pain.
On our 15th wedding anniversary, Arthur left me. Said I had nothing left to give. unmarked by life. In the weeks that followed, I suffered most because I could not seem to suffer. I became an acolyte to sangria, made brief, nervous forays into singles bars. One evening, was walked to my car by a musician who suggested we make love there in the parking lot between two yellow lines because he was, as he so delicately put it, between sets. Well, I resisted, and much annoyed, he cut me. Here. And I stood, horrified and somewhat embarrassed at seeing a mist of asphalt, staring at the drops of blood on my beige shoes. And when this scar formed, I was astounded to find that for the first time in my life, people looked at me, not unkindly and with interest. This scar made me in some way approachable, and this blemish gave me confidence. These people were not like the ones I had known before. No, they were interesting people. They weren't unmarked by life. And it occurred to me then, or very shortly thereafter, that perhaps it's best to wear our lives upon our skin. And so I do. This sermon is from Muhammad Mustafa, who taught me that there are dangers and pressures, and even a sort of degradation so delightful that it seems ungrateful to resist. This Skype, the ritual likeness of my musician at the parking lot. This bird in flight, horror-struck, would be my mother. This daylily, which blooms, decays, and is remembered, is Marion, who taught me with her death, instructed me with her going. On the palm of my left hand, a cross from Brother Shelton, who reached out a hand to help me, he thought, and was repaid with pain. And this is an orchid for... Isn't that funny? I know her scent, but I can't recall her name. They have all marked me. Well, of course, you see that. May I advise you? Please. Let them mark you. Because the best among us have been so engraved by life that it's like embroidery. And these people, if you did, are the most interesting. And these people are drawn together and share their marks, and these moments of sharing are the best of life. And this unraveling of hieroglyphs, personally, I call it love, lasts only so long as there are marks to read, and then it is gone. Sometimes the unmarked are attracted. They stare, briefly, fascinated and a little frightened. And in the parking lots, I cut them, make a small mark, like this. And it is then their lives begin, with a little pain. That is, if there's any understanding in them. Do you understand me? Yes, I think you do. Salute.
Some things spoken out loud are considered taboo, like a mother admitting motherhood is not so much fun, or a woman admitting not having children first, or God forbid that a woman's role or identity is handed to her. What if women could say exactly what they want about their role in life without fear of judgment?
I am suffocated, not by engulfing waters nor by knit knuckles. It is not my throat that is constricted, but rather me, the whole me. No, not this empty emissary of my body, but that which it contains. I am suffocated. Voices shout at me, nailing against my conscience like bullets, stinging like thunderclaps until my ears have no choice but to yield. Be yourself, they shriek. Be different. I sit still, my spine locked into an inflexible rope of bone, and listen to the contradictions. I lose myself in this mad quest of be yourself. My life is a noble forest of finding myself, and in every success and failure I learn more that I am not finding myself. And I suffocate, I splutter, I cough, I choke, I die, losing myself instead. listening to the same voices who speak of identity yet deprive me of the same thing in their demand for obedience. I am weaned of my individuality, forced to be another face in a sea of conformists. Echoing amongst their vain encouragement, scream and pierce the shrill cries that command, be pretty, get good grades, never be negative, always look forward. And I am encompassed, shrouded, suffocated by these demands. That breath of identity I maintain puffs helplessly against society's confines, like the faint flutter of a moth's wing, and I suffocate.
My name is Maya. At 9 o'clock in the morning to have the children off to school, the house back together, beds made, myself dressed. Myself dressed is a great accomplishment.
My name is Kate. One makes choices. I don't mean, though, that one should be narrow. Within those choices, the full range in which I acted for years in movies before I went on the classical set. It always makes me sad when someone says, I'm too old. The only time you're too old is when you're dead, I say.
After the children leave, it takes me at least 3 minutes to remember when.
Oh, I suppose I wanted children once, but what one does, one must do well, even if it takes years of study or practice.
I was up past midnight last night, talking about a lover. I wrote him a letter and read it to all my friends over the telephone.
For my work, I would stop at nothing. For one scene in a movie in which I played an American spy behind a marginal line, I learned to parachute.
Children woke up by themselves in the morning, and while they watched the television, I slept. 1,000 dreams. Women played piano and carried candelabras. A woman came and put her arms around my waist.
I wanted the experience. If I was to play that role, I had to know what it felt like to fall from the sky into a strange field in a strange country, my head reeling from the pull of gravity.
We listened to the music. I wept.
Sheer beauty of space following space following space.
When I turned to see who held me, the woman vanished.
Quiet descent that lasts only hours and seconds at the same time.
And then, at 9 a.m., I take out my notebooks. I play my tapes and type them. People's lives are out before me. Stories of marriages, divorces, jobs lost, moves from city to city. The children don't speak to the parents. The parents have to go to the children.
That fall changed my walk for the next few weeks.
And then, this is the year of the dissertation, the year Danny entered kindergarten, Rachel entered second grade, or the year of food stamps, the last year of my grant from the Bank of America.
I was bruised, but also athletic.
The bank is becoming suspicious. 6 years they asked me whispering so they don't embarrass me in front of all the savers. Isn't that time enough for a doctorate degree?
My body was sure of itself. I had to train for weeks.
I answer, for some boy just old enough to drink, whose proud father wants to be the first professor with this surname. But if you spend 2 years of graduate school in divorce courts and lawyers' offices, the rest of that time falling in love,
If I had been a mother at that time, the needs of my children would have pursued me, and only half my spirit would be in that jump.
my dissertation is on the death of the American family.
Oh my gosh. I think I've just come up with the best theory. Teenage life sucks. That's it. I mean, once you hit 13, your life just goes. All the adults are like, oh, I love being a teenager. Ha! Sure. Well, I'm sorry, but this is not Sunshine 70s anymore. Just trying to make us feel better. All the little kids are like, oh, I can't wait to be a teenager. It'll be so much fun to grow up. No, you don't. No, you really don't. Okay, first of all, you are in middle school when it all starts to happen. And for some reason, it seems like when you're a teenager, all your friends start to turn on you. I mean, first they're like, hey, best friend. And you know, you do all the regular things like hang out and stuff. And then once you leave, they go around gossiping. Oh my God, did you know that Gretchen made out with Justin in a movie theater? Yeah, it was definitely Tom. I don't even know a Justin. Then there's puberty. Actually, I'm not even gonna get into that. Ha! And then there's high school, the black hole of all teenage life. Once you get there,
everything starts to fall apart. First, you're expected to be this pencil-thin stick, or otherwise you're considered fat. But if you are that thin, they go around spreading rumors that you're anorexic. Huh. And it's all throughout high school, something but college this and college that, and college counselors are no help about it. They're all, you fail, you lose, you fail at life, you better memorize that phrase, you want fries with them? Ugh, I hate them, I wish they'd all die! Where was I? Oh yeah, life's sucking. You know what, I'm tired of complaining, so I'll just say these two things. Adults, you're wrong. Kids, get ready. What's wrong?
I don't think that two single roommates living alone in an apartment should have a cleaner house than my mother. That's what's wrong.
What are you talking about? I'm just going to put the dishes in the sink. You want me to leave them out all night long?
I don't care if you take them to bed with you. You can play Martha Stewart all you want, but don't make me feel guilty.
I'm not asking you to do it.
That's why I feel guilty. Last night I saw you scrubbing the floor, shaking your head saying, footprints, footprints.
I didn't say they were yours.
But they were mine. I have feet. They make prints. Do you want me to walk across the cabinets?
No, I want you to walk on the floor. I wondered how long it would take before I got on your nerves.
I didn't say you got on my nerves.
You said I irritated you.
You said you irritated me. I didn't say it.
Then what did you say?
I don't know what I said.
I was just repeating what I thought you said.
Well, don't repeat what you thought I said and repeat what I said. That's just irritating.
You see? You didn't say it.
I don't believe this conversation.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me.
And don't pout. If you want to fight, we'll fight. But don't pout. Fighting I win, pouting you win.
I know. Everything you say about me is absolutely right.
And don't give in so easily. I'm not always right. Sometimes you're right.
I know. I do that. I always figure I'm in the wrong.
Only this time, you are wrong. And I'm right.
Oh, leave me alone.
And don't sulk. That's the same thing as pouting.
I know. Damn me! Why can't I do one lousy thing right?
Why didn't you throw it?
Because I'm trying to control myself.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
You're angry. You felt like throwing the cup. Why did you just throw it?
Because there's no point to it. I'd still be angry, and then I'd have a broken cup.
How do you know how you feel? Make me feel wonderful. Why do you have to control every single thought in your head? Do something that you want to do and not what you think you're supposed to do. Come on! Break the stupid cup! You're hopeless!
Patriarchy once told me that I could outperform because women do not belong on stage. And they're not allowed to read or recite the written word. Well, I have a little something to say about that. I present a slightly edited version of Hamlet's soliloquy. Say I'm looking for it. Okay, here goes. To be or not to be a feminist! That is not a question. 'Tis not nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of oppression. So I shall take arms against deceit of sexist, social media personalities and my emotions and the online line, please.
Patriarchy.
Oh, yes.
I'm not. Better turn the page. We don't want Meg crying anymore. It's Mama and the cat.
Turn the page.
Oh, that poor old yellow cat. You know, I bet if she hadn't hung that old thing along with her, she wouldn't have gotten all that national coverage.
Why are we talking about this?
Meg's right. It was so sad. It was awfully sad. I remember how we all three sat up in the bed the morning the service just crying our hearts out. We used to have one whole box of Kleenex.
And then old granddaddy came in and said he was going to take us out to eat banana splits for breakfast. The thing about old granddaddy is that he tries to make us happy. Then we end up turning green, getting stomach aches, thrown up in the flower arrangement.
That was me. I threw up in the flowers. How embarrassing.
Oh, babe.
Oh, Lenny. Oh, Meg.
Oh, babe, so late. So good to be home.
Hey, I have an idea. Oh, let's play cards. Oh, yes, let's do.
All right.
It'll be just like we used to do when we were younger. Oh, we can play hearts. We used to sit up all night long.
Hello? Oh. Hi, how are you? Oh, sure, come on over. Back? That was Doc Porter. Said he's coming over.
He is.
He says he wants to see me.
Oh. Well, do you still want to play?
No, I don't think so.
Oh. Meg,
What?
well, you know that Doc's married now.
I know, you told me.
Oh. As long as you know that. Meg,
What?
could I ask you something?
What?
Well, I just wanted to ask you.
What?
Well, just why did you take one little bite out of each piece of candy and then just put it right back in the box?
I was waiting for the one with the nuts.
The ones with the nuts. Yeah. It's a box of creams. All it has in it are creams. This was a birthday present to me. It was my one and only birthday present. My only one.
I'm sorry, I'll buy you a new one.
I don't want a new one. That's not the point.
What is the point?
I don't know. You've no respect for other people's property. You just take whatever you want. You just take it. Well, remember when we were little girls and you had layers and layers of jingle bells on your petticoats? Well, Wayne and I only had 3 apiece.
I'm going on about the stupid jingle bells again.
Well, it's an example, a specific example of how you always got what you wanted.
You're just upset because Doc called.
Doc? Who said anything about Doc? Oh, I have long since given up worrying about you and all your men.
I know I've had too many men. Believe me, I know I've had too many men. It's not my fault you haven't had any. Or just that one from Memphis.
What one from Memphis?
The one from the club. They told me about it.
Ben! Oh, I asked you not to tell anyone. I'm so ashamed. How could you do this? Did you tell anyone else? I'm sorry, Lenny. Really sorry. Oh, I'll just never be able to trust you ever
Oh, for
again.
heaven's sake, Lenny, we were just worried about you. We wanted to find a way to make you happy.
Happy? Happy? I'll never be happy.
Oh, you're so pathetic. I hate it when you just stand there looking so pathetic. Tell me, did you even ask the man from Memphis about it? Did you even ask him about it?
No, I didn't. Because I just didn't want him not to want me.
Lenny.
No, don't talk to me anymore. Don't talk to me. I just hope all this doesn't make me vomit. I don't want to vomit. Jackass. Oh, man, why do you make Lenny cry? I hate it when you make Lenny cry. Lenny.
I feel like having.
Joseph, I'd be fancy to note that the most recent episode in our mad endeavor has resulted in me losing my sense of courtesy. You are a bloody bugger, you are a moronic loon, and you are a man who I would no longer wish to associate myself with unless you amend your absolutely inappropriate behavior. However, in your finer moments, you shine like the great sun, and you lead me like a brilliant star, if a fallen one. Your finesse is quite admirable and much better developed than that of the other men who I have spent time with. The majority of our encounters may be deemed absolutely inappropriate by our peers, and yet, regarding Lady Downshire, well, I find that I concern myself far too often with that hellish weasel. She is a corned, shandy-gaff-ridden tope who should learn not to meddle in my affairs, especially in our affair. The mere mention of her name, let alone her deeds, should be outlawed. Might I offer some commentary on these deeds? Her entire life's work is to steal you, my lover, from my arms. She gives her very best effort to make me out as some sort of mad mistress. Well, I will admit the majority of my romantic relationships have been recent and brief. My brief romance with Lord Beresford and following folly with the Prince of Wales, I'll admit, was quite enjoyable. Do not mistake me. You are my greatest love, my only love now. There's a matter we still need to discuss. Cut off this courtship that you have established with Lady Downshire, or I will inform the public of your embezzlement and tax evasion. You are not an honest millionaire, my darling. I pray we'll meet again sometime soon, perhaps by the sea. The Right Honorable Daisy, Countess of Warwick!
Well, if we've learned anything about women, it's that it's hard to be a woman. Do you hear me, patriarchy? Yes! understand the difficulty of this position? Yes, you, with your lack of understanding of what it means to be a woman. Yes, you, with your negativity and favoring only those who have a sufficient testosterone and control freakishness to rule our household. Yes, you, with your boyfriend just for men. I focus on that. Damn patriarchy! Or anarchies, because I do not believe in anarchies, and we are done here. Empowerment for women, empowerment and equality, because I do not believe in anarchies. I just believe in me, the spirit of woman, because the spirit of woman is in all of us, because it's in you, and you, and you, and him, and her, and you people, and cats, and dogs, and parents, and county bureaus, and cartographers, and politicians, and even in trolls, because even they have mothers, and sisters, and friends, and cousins that they care about, who are women. Listen, world, do you hear? The spirit of woman is alive! Alive! And she is redeemed!
Okay. We run the world.
I don't know. Are they putting this on a website on YouTube?
Yeah. I don't know when.